Hello and welcome back to another week, a week of political education. We have our lovely guest here listening in, tuning in. Today we will be reading zines. These zines right here. Last week we read, hold on, let me get them out. These zines is part of political education. This is Dialectics and Materialism. Read those, squeezed it in, just went a little bit over, but that was fine. Dialectical materialism as the outlook of the world, as the understanding of how we come to be with this material condition, and thus how stuff changes and stuff. So, from that outlook, from what is Marxism to what is time banking now. Last week I said I was going to make these zines. I have made these zines. Both dialectical materialism and time banking one are in the shop. Let me actually pull up that thing. Let's see, I think it's this one right here. I'll get the link for the drive for the time bank, which will include the time bank zines, and I will drop the zine library for the other dialectical materialism zines right here. Both in there, both right there, both the time bank ones, of which this one concerns building dual power, haha, and then of course dialectical materialism, what is Marxism. Both those zines with the instructions provided, at least they should have the instructions that they do. Folding methods, that's right. So all you would need is paper, a printer, access to a printer, staples, and you can make yourself one of these. How incredible. And we will be reading them. So let's get some stuff situated. We will start with people's currency and then move on to the people's economy. Now, we might go a little bit over again, but that's okay. This is all recorded. So let us begin with loose fingers, building dual power, time banking, the people's currency, public property by the General Strike US. That's us. That's us. We are the General Strike US. Together, we are General Strike US. And this is public property. This is not owned by anyone. It is owned by everyone. So, in the first 2 pages, right when you open it up, you were asked 2 questions. What is time banking and what is time banking? What is the time aspect of time banking? So, the first pages of both scenes are the same. What is time banking? Time banking is an informal economy that utilizes people's time instead of money to exchange goods and services. All time is made equal in a time bank, meaning that 1 hour worked by anyone is worth 1 hour of work to anyone else. An hour of weed pulling around the garden is worth 1 hour of web design or automotive repair. Time banking allows those with the skills and means to attain needed goods and services without the mediation of dollars and money. If you have a needed skill and the people you are helping has something you need, simply exchange time. Simply exchange each other's essence as life force, not this money stuff. Time making is not bartering or trading goods explicitly. What is being exchanged in a time bank is the amount of time or labor it takes to complete a service or deliver a good. Time banking takes existing resources and makes it more accessible by means of equalizing time for all. This access of time builds the foundations of dual power for the people. Dual power, that's what it says on top. Dual power. The whole point of making a time bank is to build dual power, a power structure at which competes against the current power structure, that capitalism stuff. We ourselves make our own economy, utilize our own currency to build the powers and structures at which to compete against, and finally abolish the capitalist oppressive structures that keep us in our classes: working class, exploited class, oppressed class. What is time banking now? The time aspect, and this one we'll get into the banking part. The people's currency is something that everyone has, and we all get this time on the same frequency and in the same amount. Unlike paychecks and wage labor, the amount of value extracted from a time currency is the exact amount of time contributed in an exchange. The time currency, as opposed to the money currency in an economy, now makes the human equal and not the exchange value of an object that the human consumes. So in economic theory, you propose an object or a commodity exists in 2 states. You have the use value, or it has 2 values: use value and exchange value. Exchange value is how much the item costs in an economy. So let's say the cost and price of paper towels goes ups and down, right? Up, down, inflation and whatnot usually tends to rise. That's exchange value. The use value of paper towel, though, is the fact that it can soak up stuff. use value of an object. Use value of a screwdriver, you can screw stuff with it. The exchange value of a screwdriver, though, changes depending on the manufacturer, the make, materials used, the labor cost, and stuff like that. The cost, right? Exchange value, use value. The people's currency predates the monetary currency, of which dominates the bourgeois economy. Money, bourgeois, capitalism. It is strictly only the mediation of money that produces our ability to labor and do things, at least in today's society. So in order to make anyone do anything nowadays, it's you have to fork them a couple dollars. Hey, $20 is $20 type shit. So you have to have and use this money for people to do stuff because of the privatized means and the subsistence that is privatized. You can't get anything without this money, and so therefore money dominates the scheme. You can only do but that which requires money and needs money to do anything. Time is used instead of dollars to make equal the labor and skills, to then make equal the human in production. We do not appropriate the skill and labor we have in a market that takes, but rather we invest our persons in an economy that returns back to us, right? Something that is cyclical, something that nurtures itself back, not extraction takes away entirely. The next page, you will see this. So from here on out, you'll have multiple pages or 2 pages of the same one topic to really extrapolate, expand on what the topic is. And this one is time, dollars, and time dollars. It's the currency. So here we go on this next page. Any and all currency is used to make exchange fair and reasonable. There exists all kinds of currency. This founds the schemes of bartering and trade, exchange. Livestock was used to trade in compensation of goods or services received. Dollars and money nowadays have dominated the scheme of exchange, and a lot of us have become accustomed to this type of currency. However, the mediation of exchange can take form in many ways. Sometimes even there is no mediation of exchange in some transactions, like that of paying back favors, and where labor entirely or already acquired resources are used to settle debts. Time is currency like dollars, and to make this shift in perspective easier, we utilize time credits or time dollars to make the mediation of exchange similar and functionable. Time dollars is simply just a unit of measure to count hours or service of time of labor banked with you. We keep track of those who have done what, where, and how by these time dollars, and is what it allows people to clear the mediation of exchange and receive what is owed and pay what is needed to fairly compensate someone's time, right? Trying to make everything fair and equal, trying to make everyone understand that your labor, my labor, our labor, it's ours. It's our economy. It's our life. It's our earth. We share it together, and we acknowledge this. Green dollars is very liquid, and we mean to say that money can be used to invest and grow wealth. All this may sound nice, when one person is not working and gaining and is gaining wealth, there exist other people who are working and not gaining wealth. We live in an interdependent system where all of our actions, no matter how small, still affect the lives of strangers we may never meet, right? The interconnectedness of the world. That's a little bit of Marxism, materialism right there. All of that which exists is connected to the material condition. That's why we call it a material condition. Shared. We share this bitch. We all live in here together as one people, right? As one living organism, as us as the people. And whatever we do affects other people around us. It's very simple. This is how connected we are as a people and society. And so we must acknowledge and utilize a currency that reflects this phenomena. Money can be used in many ways, even harmful to the human, whereas time is more direct, impactful, and helpful to not just the individual in the exchange, but the community at large as well. Wow, that was that one page. Next set of pages, liquids and solids. I get this idea of time and money and how you can solidify or liquefy any type of labor invested in the system. We'll get right into it. All forms of currency exist as a liquid form of labor that we utilize to solidify the means of our consumption and attaining our subsistence. And basically anything that we want or need, we solidify through our labor. Money in dollars is used to buy things. And the process of purchasing, there comes an exchange or a change in a state of money that is somewhat solidifies that form into a means of consumption. Money directly does not make housing for shelter. Money simply gives access inside the privatized mode of production to housing and shelter. Time functions similarly and much more directly than dollars. Both solidify in ways to provide the means of consumption, However, one comes from an exploited labor and the other an appreciated labor. One trickles back up to our oppressors, the other sustains a community and builds ties stronger than what money can buy, right? In its liquid form, money is used to buy almost everything, and that is because almost everything has been privatized. In its solid form, we get capital, places like factory, industrial buildings, and agricultural land for profit reasons. Time, as a currency in its liquid form, makes anything possible, so long as we have the means to produce what we would like. Time is not bound by a particular system, structure, or form of organized labor. We simply just have this time that we can use. In fact, capitalism and its money requires time itself to function. So, utilizing time inadvertently also bypasses core steps in exchange in a capitalist or privatized system of exchange. By using time as a currency, hours and credits for our exchange, we remove ourselves from the reliance of the scheme of money. Money is both a solidification of time and the liquidation of labor, itself a mediation. It's the middleman. Capitalism, you always attribute it to the middleman. What is Uber? A middleman for the taxi service, right? Bringing together the driver and then the person who needs to get picked up and dropped off somewhere. Uber is the middleman. DoorDash is the middleman for food. All these middlemen. Subscription services are middlemen for the actual production companies like Netflix and stuff like that, like entertainment. Studio company, customer who wants to watch, Netflix, Hulu. Middleman. Time in its solid form also produces factories, traditional capital, and the like. However, we exist much closer to these solidifications since time is used in a direct manner. The mediation of exchange in this form circulates only between the exchanging parties. This essentially keeps the money within the communities at all times, using time. So you can't really invest time. Like the whole point of using time is that you can't invest it and watch it grow in a stock portfolio. You don't just take 10 hours and all of a sudden next week you have 15 hours. What? No, you don't do that. And you can't do that. The people's currency, next page. Oh my God. In a time bank, we come closer to the means of production and begin the removal of the division of labor. Ooh, some juicy stuff. Although not in a direct effect of using time as a currency for an economy, the removal of money as the main objective in the sale of goods and services also removes the barriers of what someone is exposed to in production. So, in a particular, in Engels writes, the individual works in a particular branch of production in a particular section of production. So you have it was whether the cashier only did the cashier stuff, the stocker, the associates only did the stock manager, the supervisor who did the supervising stuff, right? Everyone does a little bit of everything nowadays, but the division of production or division of labor is fundamentally found in blue collar, white collar. There's like hard labor and then mental labor. What Karl Marx and Engels describe as the removal or the undivision of physical labor and mental labor. So always have the division of labor, and that is the pinnacle of the form of labors, mental and physical. The removal of that, all of a sudden, a great socialism can occur. But the division of labor itself, it's no longer the individual will just be a cashier. They're also managing the finances, or they'll be looking over the building and such, do some managerial stuff, not just the on-floor stuff. So I don't even know where I left off there. The people's currency also allows access to know how a good and service is first produced and then delivered to the recipient on both the service provider and service receiver side of the exchange. Since money is used to mediate the exchange of the means of production or consumption from one owner to another, there's a lack of concern of just how a product is made for consumption. When you buy something, you're not concerned of how this specifically was made. You are more worried about how I consume it, because I have done my due diligence of paying with money this thing, this freedom and choice to get what I want to then consume. Right? That's how people end up with toxins inside their body when they eat a bunch of Red 40. Oh my God, Red 40. Me personally, I like Red 40. I'm a sucker on that shit. But of course, not good. And a bunch of chemicals as well. But no one really knows how this stuff is made. They just know that it tastes good and it's addictive, and that's it. Marketing 101. Boom, boom, boom. Here you go. But that is what I call the phenomenon inconspicuous production, and where the use of time removes that. Where it's like, now you know kind of how stuff is made. Like when I fix people's cars in the time bank, I kind of try to tell them and teach them how a car, how their issue kind of like, works and functions. Like, oh, now you can point it out. I tell them like the specific mechanics of how it broke and how it's leaking or what over part is broken. educate the people, right? Sometimes, I mean, most of the time they're interested because it usually concerns them. Where it's like, I'm having this problem. It would be nice to kind of know how this problem works and functions, so I can try, figure it out myself, stuff like that. Time banking. That's all. That's all that right there. Oh, how's that? Is that a little better? Oh wow, thank you. I wonder how it's gonna sound because usually I check the audio before. I wonder how it's gonna sound now, but I think it'll be fine. I trust you. So we're just reading the little thing. Time banking, time and banking. Zines that I made, posted it in the chat right there. So I also did dialectical materialism, zines right there. Those are also there, and then the time banking ones. We're on the people's currency. So the exchange of time is more direct in this relationship and thus more intimate. This produces a rise in general knowledge of the entire production process. We all become more knowledgeable, not to become more independent, but on the contrary, mutually dependent on each other's skills for our needs, right? Not everyone is going to be a mechanic. Not everyone's going to be a doctor. Not everyone's going to be a any which so. But we do rely and depend on each other to perform those skills. So you have someone who is a doctor, and you have someone who is a mechanic. You have someone who is an accountant, right? You have someone who is, or any other which way, that provides to the community. It's kind of like I don't know, common sense, where it's like people like to do certain stuff. You elevate those individuals to a skill serviceable to the community, and then that's all they get to do. If someone really loves to lumberjack, cut down wood, or like utilize, in the lumber industry, get them in there, let them have fun, and we give them what they need so that they can give us what we need, wood and lumber, right? It's like I don't know. It's like, the simple mode of production. It's like you want people to do stuff, you let people do stuff. It's not privatized mode of production. Privatize the means of production. The easy accumulation of money gives us the concern of how to use our currency versus how to attain our needs. If we rely entirely on our money to fulfill our needs, we only need to figure out how to get such money. Money nowadays is entirely privatized and attaining. Even making your own money through business entrepreneurship itself is based on the schemes of exploitation and removing ourselves from knowing how things are made. I'm just going to hire someone else to do that, because if I hire them, then I make a profit more than what I pay them, so I get to keep money that I never worked for. I don't need to know how any of this works. I just need to know to someone who does know how, and that's not me. That's bourgeois economics for you. Hours exchange is 1-for-1 based on how much time is contributed or received. For some, it is fairly easy to commit to 1 hour of an already developed skill or hobby, and this is the basis of time banking. We do not initially build new skills to offer in the time bank for time credits and hours. We utilize already existing skills, resources, and hobbies to contribute to the fulfilling needs for the people in our community. You already do, or you pretty much do what you already do in a time bank. So basically, what you already do, you do. If you want to develop skills and have that, repertoire, that skill set, then yeah, that's great. And the people in the time bank who can help you nurture. But for the immediate access and the delivery of that skill, you just do what you already do. Like me, I'll beat it like a dead horse. I'm a mechanic. I fix cars. That's what I can do. And that's what I do provide to the people in my community. I fix cars. It's less than the labor that you pay what you would at a shop. You just pay in parts. And that saves people a bunch of money, so whether they can actually pay rent, stay in homes, afford food, right? A material impact. And that's just only one person doing it. Imagine if it was a gajillions people doing it. That's the essence of time banking. Oh, wow. See how incredible that is? Since everyone has a time and skill, we call all already begin exchange time. That's a typo. For our needs and wants. A time banking principle states that all persons have something to contribute. As in the inverse, all persons has something that they need. Most can walk a dog, but not all has the time to do so. But it is something that still needs to be done, right? You need to walk your dog. You don't have the time to. Someone else does have the time to, right? And that's similar to having and not having. It's just, do you have the skill or not? Most people do, but not everyone has the time to do so. And it's still something that needs to be done. So we must appreciate that time. The labor as much, anyone can train themselves to be as such the skill level to any particular field of study. It just takes that time. And it is that time to which people must have, we must appreciate time banking. Now, Next page, on dual power, the core and function of the time banking as a whole. Money is the currency we commonly associate with the mediation of exchange. If we need something, we don't look towards solutions without money. Oftentimes, we look towards institutions and structures that operate strictly use money, which most are and most do. Time as a currency builds a secondary power in relation to the primary. It is something that we control and have to, which then serves beneficial to our own ends. Money in its current state serves and is beneficial to private owners and their interests, their ends. A single power of money, or the single power of money, holds our means of subsistence over all of us, and we must jump to attain, but not everyone can jump. This is the problem. Capitalism forces us to labor and work to even begin to live and exist. In this privatized mode of production, living itself is a commodity that we must buy, the money of which we attain through the sale of our labor, as a proletariat, as a laboring class, as one that which does not own nor have any capital to live off of such a miserable life. It is hell on earth. The sale of labor would not be as bad or cumbersome should the paycheck and the monies received from this sale be sufficient to provide our needs. However, because our petty gains from the system do not even grant us the most basic of living standards, of which neither stable nor ethical to attain when attained, we must find and utilize an alternative that does give us what we want, and that's time. Time banking and the currency of time is something that we can use for this end. We can rival the power that of the private mode of production with the power of the socialized mode of production. Money itself organized and based on the working of the people to build its value and wealth. Why not treat time the same, right? Because especially right now, fiat currency is a faith-based system. It is faith-based. It is I think therefore I am based. It is idealism based. Yeah, at least time you can count that shit. 1 second passing. I'll tell you how long we've been recording for. About 22 minutes. And count that stuff. That's time, right? Instead of dollars per hour, we go hour for hour, band for band. What someone can do in 1 hour, someone else with their skill set can labor for another hour. We build dual power by having ourselves to which we can change and form the material conditions shared. Money only holds power because it is the common currency to mediate exchange. It is what we accept as compensation because it is utilized to exchange goods and services. And so, why not treat time the same, so that we can have power ourselves? We, the power, the people, woo, woo. Pow, whoa, that's what I'm saying. So, and then in this last section, yes, what comes first? Not the chicken or the egg, but what comes first? Money, time. We talk about labor and capital, and we get right into it. In economics, labor precedes capital, in which the former makes the latter, not the other way around. And so we must take serious and consider more that labor is what makes our constructs of reality, because simply capital and the materializations of labor itself come from labor, comes from that working, that hammer and sickle type shit. Capital will not be without labor, and the following logic as well, money will not be without time. There is time baked into the making of any labor product, but time does not precede labor. They work in tandem to materialize such goods and services. So it's not time then labor, then capital, and then thereafter. Time and labor are together. They are natural forces. Time is a natural force. Labor itself is a man-natural force, right? The capital is the product of that labor, right? Money is a product of that labor. They're not themselves natural forces. They were made and rearranged. Labor and time itself, natural forces. So then, by this logic, once again, we must take serious and consider more so time in the mediation of exchange before any money is involved. Money will not be without time, but time can and does exist without money. So what is more important then? Dollars needs hours, but the hour does not need the dollar. And still, we can labor without the money. We simply just do. We simply just labor, right? For any individual, so like, I'll bring another automotive example. The automotive diagnosis usually doesn't require most tools unless it's like if it's a noise, like a suspension engine or a braking noise, you just hear that stuff or you experience it. You have that expertise, that labor, that understanding of what the problem may be, right? Why would me, the person who has that knowledge, gatekeep that from someone else? I know exactly what the problem is. That'll be $300 for me to tell you. What? Excuse me. To me, that's pretty outrageous. That's nonsensical. Like, you can't even make the argument like, well, I need to live. I need a family. I need to feed my family. So $300, it gives me. Excuse me. You wouldn't have that problem had the system been addressed. The contradictions, of course, by the people for the people. You know how you kind of want to be, but Anyways, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Why would not then to begin exploring the uses of time for our lives and realize the revolutionary difference that is the currency that allows us to experience? There does need to be an existing structure for people to work with for the currency and resulting economy to function and flourish, right? It's not just going to happen out of nowhere. Resulting economy to, however, how does anything start? We must act and make a becoming of a new system that emerges out of the old. We can utilize what we know about money and the ways of exchanging goods and services to a medium that appreciates the common people, right? We take what's now Mike Lebowitz, a socialist who recently passed away, RIP, in one of his books, describes the building using the tools of capitalism to not build the socialism, but to build the organs of socialism, which will then reproduce into the being that is socialism. Right? You don't build outright socialism out of the tools given by the capitalist hand, right? You just end up reproducing a capitalist mode of production, just a higher form of it or a different form of it. To really recreate and produce a socialism, you build the foundations of which you do not build the direct building, because the building you are building or the foundation you're building top of is capitalist. You build a socialist foundation from it, to which then itself it grows. You don't build anything on top of it. It's like one generation of construction workers built a foundation. That's their entire purpose. The next generation of construction workers now built on top of the foundation, and you can only build what is allowed that foundation to allot, right? So you must build the foundations of which first before you can ever build a building on top, right? The building is only as strong as the foundation, right? So if you build a building too big, the foundation will crumble, crack. Anyways, what comes first is our time. And then there comes a distinction and thus a difference. The difference of which coming from our particular ways to labor in our current society, we award those who do not labor. Business owners, CEOs, landlords, and billionaires. These leeches would not be if there weren't people laboring for less than what is owed to them. They abuse our time so they can receive a profit for themselves, not because they worked hard for it, because everyone else worked hard so that they don't have to. So, what comes first? Time, the worker, labor, which produces money, the boss, and capital. And that is the philosophy of time banking. That is the philosophy of time, the currency, the people's currency, knowing how to utilize. And then we just have nice little links, useful links, scan me, right here, Linktree, that's Linktree. The resources link, so Linktree and the resources link, and then the welcome pack and the strike card. And then the back are signature. I made this every single GSUS zine has these. It's a signature. I am a zine. Don't throw me away. You can give me someone else, use me for later, put me somewhere else, or collect. Yeah. So every single zine, every single GSUS zine has one of these. Yes. All these links, because now you know where to find us. And special zines like this get the signature dual panel design. I know, it's crazy. And real quick, I'll show you my strike card. It's all dirty. It's all gross. I gotta reprint another one. Here is the. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. You have my full support. It's free download. I print and it's both. You can have both options. Here around here, you can have your cake and eat it. You can have it downloaded. I'll give you the full zine library link. I have it. It's this one. With the instructions included on how to do that in the method that we use. So here is the double panel. Here is the strike card. This is the strike card. This is your strike card zine, and the zine includes other stuff, philosophy of the strike and such. So that is the strike card. So it's a dual double panel design. So the strike card is one strike card. You fold this out all the way, and then you show this as a badge. And then the other side is our 3Ds, decentralized, dissent, diversity, as the front with both of our logos, or both of our little insignias. So you have the strike logo, or like the GSUS logo, and then you have the decentralized, like what this has. The decentralized for both. I gotta print another one. That one's getting a little crusty. I gotta re-sign it. Then you show it off. But that has been not the whole episode now, not the whole thing. Currency, the people's currency, time bank currency. Now, you have the other one. In the unity of the opposites and struggles, the two that makes the one. Yes, I agree. I do agree. That's a little bit more fun. Like if we were going to do that, that would be the line of thought. That would be going down the legality of it, the having of it, like the face, and because that would be a prominent face to the movement. Agree with you there. That's more of a little fun thing to have. But if it does becoming a method, it does have its stuff. Like if we were to pursue that, we would be developing it as such. The economy, currency, economy. In an economy, you use a currency, right? Gold coins, pigs, cows, cattle, land, currency, something that you use to exchange to get something that you want. In a bank, in an economy, is the overall exchange of that on a macro scale. Is how you go about using or utilizing this currency, utilizing that exchange to make stuff happen. That's this one. So building dual power, time banking, the people's economy, public property by the General Strike US. That's right. And of course, what is time banking? Epic sauce. Oh, I see. Well, every facet of knowledge helps you build and understand the material condition now, of which it makes it up as epic. What is time banking? We already read that. Of course, time banking, 1 hour of that, scales and the means of production and whatnot. It's not bartering and trading. You know how it goes. What is time banking now? So see, on the other one, it said time banking. This one says time banking. The people's economy functions and benefits the interests of the people. Since in utilizing time, this is something that cannot be inflated nor hoarded easily. Time banking as a form of production for the people. The means of production are needed: buildings, equipment, machinery, tools, and objects in a productive process that makes things. Things being made is how we are able to do things. In a traditional money-based economy, we handle the care of the means of production by mediation of money, and thus an individual must have this money to participate in the system that provides subsistence, food, water, shelter, health, psychological, mental health as well. In the people's economy, it is the people who are given attention first, not any profit or system that seeks to exploit. Banking time is not designed to replace the formal economy, but ease the pressures of financial distress. I'll also drop this one right here. This is a time banking resources that you can take a look at, which also includes the zines as well, including a slideshow and then a bunch of videos on the Bay Area Community Exchange Time Bank, of which you can make an account and exchange time digitally. Right? Oh, wow. Interesting. So that's also another Proton link for the time banking resources. Let's get back here. More context on time banking. Let's see here. That was not the right spot. Here it is. In the people's economy, it is the people who are given attention, and we already did that. Banking time is not designed to replace it, and I already read all that. Relying on the people. That's the next page right here. So, relying on the people. In a time bank, we first utilize time to conduct the exchange of goods and services. Secondly, we put back the reliance of the living standard in the hands of the people, the community, and those faces we see every day, whether on the street, at work, or passing by in transit to and from wherever we want to go. The people in your community are the ones we interact with. We should be seeking help from those accessible to us, right? Not someone who's inaccessible on a phone. Don't call a corporation the help desk line. They may not be able to help you, and they live miles and miles, hundreds of thousands of miles away from you, right? So who would you really want to rely on? A company that can't be there for you readily, or the person next door who you can likely trust because you built a great relationship and rapport with them, huh? I don't know. The convenience of corporate reach has made common the ease of access to a lot of things. However, we are often blind to how such production process occurs, and thus makes us reliant on an entity and process that we don't know anything about. In this blind trust and reliance, we succumb to the whims and ways of these private enterprises. Freedom is the ability to self-determine, and so we are not free in a system that places that determination in the hands of the private and external entity, especially that which holds the means of our living standards. We don't own that living standard, the means to control and adjust this type of living the ways we live. We don't own those because we don't own the means of production. Right? We cannot produce such conditions. We cannot have or do anything because we don't own anything. Right? We are reliant on those who do own that shit. So we, of course, thus are reliant on them. Right? The people who have no interest in us. And that's kind of the form of time banking. It's like we put that interest in that reliance back on us, the people, all of us together. Right? The economy nowadays is the blind trust in corporations and those who privatize profits and interests. Do we really want to live in a world where we condone and advocate for such individual personal parties to extract and concentrate the power of labor, money, and time? Right? This is inherently private interest. Like, you always get the counter argument. But that could be me. Yeah, you watch and wait. That could be me. And I'll be the asshole. I'll be the dickhead billionaire who's going to be like, ha, 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Evil laughing. Ha 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 ha. See, would you really want to be that person? I don't think so. It is a freedom that today's society allots, but that does not mean that it is immoral nor correct in the development of society, especially concerning that welfare or the welfare of the people entire in such the society. This capitalist economy and that private ownership of things that becomes into private extraction of money for the personal benefit. This would be fine if there was enough distributed to go around, but this simply is not the case. And of course, itself would not have been fine entirely. Exploitation still exists. But that is the kind of the argument in which we get about capitalism versus socialism, the bettering, the better economy and developing of society is like one that shares resources, the one that actually gives the excess and surplus to those who need it, not wants it, and has the rightful ownership of over it. I don't know. It's kind of like talking to a brick wall here. It's like, why do you do stuff? Profit. Okay, what happened? People die. Profit. Oh, okay. It sounds like a broken record over here. While we need to make a fundamental change in the private economy, we, the people, can act now and make these changes through our intent and concentration of the people's time and labor. When we remove their reliance from corporate entities and back into the hands of the people, we can reliably take care of ourselves and lessen the need of the survival from those who only want to exploit, take, and concentrate the wealth of the working class produces. Right? Why would you want to become reliant on those who just want to take a bag, snag it, and be like, this shit mine. TS mine. For real. That's what the capitalist says every time. TS mine. On dual power. Both scenes get on dual power because the front says building dual power. And how do you build power with currency? You utilize it in ways to give you power back. You now use a type of currency, an understanding of an exchange to, make goods and exchanges, right? On dual power for banking, there currently exists only a singular dominant power in most people's scheme of life. This, of course, is the power of money and its dominance as a universal means of exchange for needed, wanted goods and services. This power only holds against us based on what we need from it. This is a material phenomenon. It's very important that we say this is a material phenomenon. This is something that exists in the material condition because it can be studied. It is not some weird ooga booga. The spirits have graced us or damned us with something indescribable. No. It's a material phenomena, right? Money and the profits of which and the processes of which extract that surplus value from the working masses. That's something that can be explained, studied, and articulated. An articulation of which then comes a particular solution depending on the deliberation. And we all get to have a nice, good joy about talking about it, right? Talking, discussion, dialogue. Grass grows without money. And grass feeds the animal we raise for the food we consume, right? It's the circle of life. Water sterilizes with or without money, giving us life and hydration. Sterilize. Maybe I'll change the wording there. But water does with without money, or water. I meant to say the water sterilization process can occur without money. You just do it, right? Tree grows and gives us the paper. Oh, there's a major typo here. It produces the means of building for shelter as well. Trees, paper, right? Dollars, and also the actual lumber and shelter and stuff, right? The dominant power in moving the individual in society is their access to this money. In a world where all is privatized, attaining any means requires a choice made not by the free individual, but are indeed forced into a position of no choice. Right? People think they have this ability, this free will to determine whatever they want to do, but every action has been preceded by a reaction of the material condition. Whatever the material condition does to you, you then react, and that what sets forth your action. Right? Your action is predicated on a reaction of an action before. This looping goes back onto itself until the point of where you were born. Wow, coming out of your mother's vagina. That is when you were born. In a world privatized, attaining any means, I like reading Hegel. How did you know? Hegel's pretty cool, but add materialism to it, and then you're based, and then you're principled. Yes, you add materialism to it, and then you're all, oh wait, I'm good. Oh, incredible! How exciting! Here we go. A choice made not by the free, and we could choose where we buy from, but every option does not put first the interests of the people, and why should they? It is a right of the free market to make privy the choice of the use of their exploited profits. A dual power, in the inverse of which does interest itself in the people collected, contains itself entirely within the people a power that comes from the inside out, the bottom up, through which the current system neglects to provide for its people. The oppressed people take care of themselves. We bank our labor and values in the community and people local. The real hand and force that makes material change in our lives, the people's economy, is intended to not only combat, but revolutionize the bourgeois economy. The people are capable of organizing an economy that supports itself cooperatively. It is in fact the people themselves that placed the bourgeois, the billionaire ruling class, where they stand now. Without the people, society disappears, and those leeching off of everyone starves and withers away from their own incompetence and parasitic nature. Time banking refocuses the intent to labor back into our communities, making us reliant on ourselves. We can trust ourselves, but can we really trust private enterprise? Their interests don't even align with ours. That was on dual power. Now, the People's Bank, a little short read. The time banking makes accessible resources, goods, and services to the people of the community. Not everyone is given the same amount of paycheck. Itself an entire conversation to have about the relationships and dynamics of wage labor. However, we all experience time the same, second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour. We equalize everyone's time and make valuable the skill exchange of a community to further their conditions. Everyone has something to offer, and everyone has a need to be fulfilled. We private not our labor for universal exchange, money, but in the exchange meaningful and impactful directly. Everyone in the time bank is treated with dignity and respect to 1. Show human decency, and 2. To acknowledge the unique offerings of all of us to contribute. We all have something to contribute, that's a fact. In a time bank, exchange not always has to be mutual, it doesn't have to be mutual. In where someone receives and the other recipient gives in labor strictly, because time is used as the currency. That's why there's a currency. It's not just a strictly, back and forth. And the recipient gives, because time is used as a currency, we can operate an economy that recognizes wealth through activity in the bank, not ownership over it, right? You don't regard more so ownership, you really more so regard the laborings of which, right? Not capital that you're infatuated with, is the actual labor producing of the stuff that you are infatuated with, that you actually like and enjoy. So oftentimes, and what is encouraged to stimulate community building trust is the process of paying it forward. The recipient of the service and exchange does not need to give directly. Yeah, you can hop in. How's it going? I'm just reading out loud in the time of political education, time banking. And that's what we're doing right now. And my time is up in 10 minutes. I'll get through this. There's like a couple less pages in here. So as we continue, the recipient of the service or exchange does not need to give directly to the service provider. right? This is reflective of the traditional economy. Money is simply the mediation of exchange, and we go in our own way after we have made a purchase. Similarly, after have completing an exchange, all what needs to happen is the spending of hours attained or contributing skills in the inverse. Growth occurs by solidifying our labor into local structures that take care of us. We make not the sale of our labor and skills, nor handle the machinery of production in ways that seek out from someone. We utilize these instruments of production to reach within and address the needs of the individual, right? It's not what we can make the individual do, it's what can the individual benefit from, right? That makes his machinations actually serviceable to him. To actually utilize AI in ways that, I don't know, that does not create art, but actually, makes menial labor obsolete. I don't know, I'm just saying. In the People's Bank, we provide skills to those in need and receive from those who can give. The transactions of a bank only look linear in a few given exchanges like this, then that, right? All nodes are connected to each other, webbing the community close and tight in a context, right? So, when a classic example, when you look out on the horizon, what do you see? Flat Earth. The Earth is flat. I'm telling you right now, I'm seeing the horizon, Earth is flat. And then you go out in space and you're like, hold on, wait, it's actually a circle. Small, straight line, look big, very big, straight line, but actually big round. Big round is what occurs right here, right? Big round, zoom in far enough, straight line type shit. Last page. Don't get excited now. Economies in tandem. Let me see if I heard that. Yes. Oh, the one on Netflix? I don't know. I've seen a bunch of them, and they're all funny. I'm sure I will too. Any sort of conspiracy such as the Shutch is funny. Ooh, sounded no, bro. This is true. Nah, I know. Oh yeah, it's definitely not what's already been proven. It must be something else. It's like an episode out of South Park. Economies in tandem. The People's Bank works directly against the bourgeois or billionaires' bank. These opposing forces in struggle were, on the one hand, a concentration of labor working for the people, and on the other, a concentration of labor working against the people. How do we reconcile this? We do not aim to replace entirely the money economy with the time economy. This feat is simply too drastic for our modern limitations. However, we can utilize time in the community to make easier the bearing of fiscal pains. Automotive repair still needs parts to complete the job, and the means to produce such parts are privatized, meaning money is still involved somewhat. Same thing for the plumber and their tools, and the tailor for their machine and resources. What the time economy does is compensate and remove the cost of labor. There is still needed cost with money, but this is an unavoidable obstacle due to the means of production being entirely privatized. Costs are greatly reduced when we use time for labor instead of dollars, right? So in any sort of transaction, any sort of exchange, there exists two costs to your to the total: a variable capital and a solidified capital. I don't know what they call it. Variable capital and just capital. Right. Capital, solid capital, is like your tools, your resources. If you're making a chair, you would need the wood, the lumber, the glue, the screws, or like the nails or whatever. You need all of the raw resources, capital. And then you add that to variable capital, labor, at which how long does it take someone to make it, to formulate it, rearrange it, to make it a chair. Right. What you do in a time bank, in the people's bank, and people's economy, is you exchange time for the labor. You remove the cost of variable capital just outright. You don't even bother with that in terms of the money, in terms of how much you pay for someone's time. That's all time based. It's technically free. Well, free in relation to that, you don't have to pay for it, right? In which you utilize those costs or those cost savings to other things like rent, bills, or other things like, an expensive automotive repair, right? That requires a lot of money for the part, right? Here we go. Time bank. Here we go. The time bank is both the spear and the shield to a growing movement and a supportive structure in people's lives. The traditional economy, in its current oppressive and exploited state offers no social security whatsoever. All bad happenings lay entirely upon the individual, even if it was never the individual's fault. Right? In this liberal society, it's always the individual who is at fault. The individual is like, oh, you always, in a capitalist society, you always blame the individual for societal problems. Why is someone so poor, and the fact that they can't, actually get up off their feet even though they work really hard? It's entirely the individual's fault. They're not working hard enough. Of course, no, that's not the deal. For example, natural disasters, fires, earthquakes, tornadoes, etc. These events may occur directly or indirectly from capitalist greed or exploitation, terraforming, all the stuff they put in the air and stuff, But their phenomena affect all, regardless if you are proletariat or bourgeois. It is within the bourgeois economy that cares little of what happens during natural disaster, and all else is left to their own devices, sufficient for rebuild or not. Everyone is in a free society. I'm going to do whatever they want. You should have saved more. That's what the capitalists, that's what the bourgeois and the individual hyperliberal will tell you. You should have saved more. You should have done more to prevent this situation. Oh, me, I'm fine. Could I help you? Yeah, but I have the freedom to not to, so I'm not going to. Type shit. You know what I'm saying? Not only are we providing through ourselves ways to make easier the living of our exploited conditions, the spear, we are also webbing ourselves in an autonomy separate from the effects of billionaire interest, the shield. In our intent to protect ourselves, we also build the tools and weapons to fight our state of complacency. We must put back the intent of labor in the communities we reside, instead of putting all of our eggs in one flimsy, unreliable basket, that is corporate interests. And that is it. We have actionable steps here, QR codes. Timebanking offers alternatives. Join your local time bank if you have one, right? GSUS is starting one right now. Trying to. We have a bunch of resources on it. We are in the works of having this online time bank. Some QR codes to the base time bank, to the actual, to the information where I got most of this from, and to the organization I am a part of, Base Time Bank. People's economy designed for the people, all power to the people. Capitalism emerged from the times of kings and queens. And our current mode of production, the way, that's talking about relations. So, real quick, real quick, last 3 minutes. What occurred and what you had in a feudal mode of production wasn't private property. It was known as individual property. It was property that you own, but it wasn't for sale. Like, you don't really sell stuff in that way, because there was no, like, you had gold in exchange and stuff, but really you traded whatever you can or could to get what you want. So when a farmer needed a sickle or an axe or a hoe or anything, he went to the blacksmith, and it wasn't just like 2 gold coins standard. It was, you got a sack of grain? I need to feed my family. The farmer's like, oh yeah, I have a sack of grain, I'll be right back. Or they would keep it on a tap, or like next time the farmer would visit the blacksmith, because eventually the tool would wear down, the farmer would pay them then a sack of grain, or whatever the terms of exchange. So it wasn't strictly on the money. Capitalism is strictly on the money, right? And this is where we derive the antithesis, or a sort of contradiction, a sort of opposite force, time, to use as a currency instead. But in feudalism, you had individual property. Most of the stuff you were like made it yourself, or you owned outright, and that was yours, right? The peasants' farming tools were his. It wasn't the king's, right? Even though everything that laid rest on the king's land was his. Divine right and rule. Then you emerged out of individual property through the struggle from feudalism to capitalism, private property. Ooh, that's where you get the exchange and havings and totalings of and the sale of. So people can make stuff then, and you could sell it for money and wealth and build yourself, right? The generational wealth, as they would say. You would build that for yourself because you had the freedom to produce and such and sell and provide to the society, and it was all great and all fine, all dandy. And all you had to do was produce, and people had the freedom to choose and buy from you, and you make a good product, and oh my God, provide good value for the community. And oh my God, it was great. And it ended up not being great. Karl Marx, Lenin, Stalin, Mao, all these people were like, hold on, wait, this shit actually sucks. Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, and all these people were like, hey, this is not a really good system. And as we find out and as we experience it now, it's not a really good system right here. People say you build wealth, and kind of not really. You kind of suffer in this system. It kind of sucks. But that is where we derive the alternative. Time banking, understanding how to use it through dialectical materialism. Next week now, Day and I don't know if you know that Day person, Day and I have been formulating a 10-point program with Timebank, or with GSUS, and this is almost it. A little fine finishing touches, but this too as well. A double panel design. How cool is that, right? The GSUS program. the Striker's Guide on How to Strike in the General Strike US. I put that there for fun. I don't know if it's going to stay, but it's pretty funny. Striker's Guide on How to Strike in the General Strike US. Our 10-point platform and core values. The 3Ds, and then our 10 points. Stuff that we demand, similar to the Black Panthers program. But then this could be all 5 zines. This could be 5 zines. This could be the actual program. Again, our formulating the actual program. This is going to be the program. It's going to be 5 zines. That's going to be these zines right here. So you have time banking, of which we went over today, right? Dialectical materialism, which is another hour and 15, hour and a half, right, of reading. So you have this, and then the program itself, all 5 zines, which makes up the GSUS program. Should you want to invest yourself and really become a part of a revolutionary movement, right? I want to say this is required, but it's there for you, and it's all free for you to download, make it yourself, right? One of these is in PDF form, just the 10-point platforms in PDF form. The other ones are actually in Zine format, which you could download for free and such, share and have. But this is the General Strike program, is these 5 zines. It is the mode of thought. It is the theoretical development. It is the understanding of the world. It is the people's economy. It is how you utilize yourselves in ways to labor to make change, right? Using this particular structure antithetical to the money structure at which you utilize in a capitalist system, right? And then the political front, the demand, not the demands, right? We have a whole bunch of demands, but it's not demands specifically, but it is a jut and a particular direction towards and attaining those demands, the liberation of the people. And then the which ways we go about it, 3Ds, decentralize, diversify, and dissent. That is all that. These 5 zines make up the GSUS program. You read all of these, you're pretty much caught up to speed on the philosophies of the strike. And then we have, Day and I are making a strike manifesto. So when you hear about this, it'll be the manifesto you hear about included with these zines, and these zines set the foundation of that thought. The manifesto pushes it forward and guides us in an action to do what we need to make the strike happen. We have a whole bunch of resources. They made a bit of resources about tabling, spreading around information. I'm making a little project about mail envelope drops. I'm with another organization called, I'm not really supposed to say, but I'll say it anyways, the PRP, People's Revolutionary Party. And we did some mail drops and we found some success in it. So basically a mail drop would look like this. I have a completed mail drop example right here. So resident of the Bay Area, you just write on it, right? Address it to, and then you drop it in front of the person's door. You don't drop it in the mailbox. That's illegal. Don't do that. What you do though is drop in front of the person's door, right? And inside this piece of mail, when they open it, addressed to them, the resident of the Bay Area, that's where I'm from, they were greeted with a letter and a zine. And this zine is specifically for Bay Area Time Bank. So I made a zine, some information in here and stuff, right? And then a QR code's in the back. If I could flip to that, right? So they have this zine to read, and they come and they have this letter. So they read this letter. It's a poster in the front, gives you information about it, a QR code, and then our YouTube channel for the base Time Bank. And then a letter addressing to the back, which is like General Strike kind of, and I signed it. So in the PRP, we signed our letters and we dropped them off. We did a test run, 50 houses, 1 neighborhood. Oh yeah, we do so the thing we do with protests is we have zines made ready. So we have zines or posters ourselves, right? And then we do that. So there's a bunch of different ways that we go about spreading information, depending on the location, depending on the type of event, right? Rallies, protests, strikes, boycotts, and then the ways and the gatherings. So we have different ways to go about our information spread like that. Haha, that's funny. See Marie glue. Gross. I see. You see the techniques that they. Don't worry. We are fighting for the people by the people. The pigs live in a system and they're confined to the negations of the pig. I wrote a nice piece on the negation of the pig a while ago. I have to readdress it. But the negation of the pig follows the negation of the negation of the law of dialectics. The negation of the pig itself, the cop. What becomes of the pig? One of two states. The two that makes the one. It's either a dead pig or a dead pig. The dead pig ideological or the dead pig physical. The negation of the pig is a wonderful read. I'll have to probably bring it up. But next week, we're going to read the program. We're going to read this nonsense. The program and the three Ds, decentralized, dissent, diversity, and the 10 points that Day has written up, all nice and grand. That makes the program. So last week we read Dialectical Materialism, Theoretical Thought, the development of which, the Timebanking, People's Economy, People's Currency. That's what sets your economical front. But it is still itself a philosophy on time banking, of which then applied becomes an economical front. Our power, right? Because the economy is power. But more so, it is how in which way you utilize the labor in the economy that makes the power. If it's privatized and owned, that's why we live in the world in which way we live in. So next week, we have the GSUS program. Might undergo some changes, but it might stay the same. This one not ready to be put up on the Zine library. Not just yet. Not yet. Hold on now. It will be up there soon. We'll see. But that's been it. I'll hang out for a little bit. 5:06. If you need to leave, leave. I don't know what else we would talk about. I posted the protons drives, the links for all of these, so you can download for free. Instructions included on the drive. The point. Please indoctrinate the blind. Correct. Against community is necessary. Yes. Class collaborationism, class traitorism, in the benefit of the individual. And this is up and foremost the critique of individualism, the theory and philosophy that I found this thought on, this basis moving forward. In terms of the working class billionaires. Yes. It is those who own so the proletariat, of course, is the individual, the class that only has their labor to sell upon to gain their subsistence. They're not petit bourgeois. They're not merchants, mercantiles, peasants, because those individuals have some sort of means of producing capital, somewhat a materialization of labor. Proletariat live and die by their labor. I live and die by the hour and the wage that I make. I was proletariat. I still am. We still are. We're all proletariat. But I was saying that entire living in existence off the sale of their labor. Crushed. Competitive schemes of competition. Yes. I see it wreathing. So no calls to violence. Boo. Violence is great. Violence is how you fight fire with the fire. Everyone is trapped in the same system. Correct. If they not act self-interested without perpetual growth, they will be crushed. Boo. Crushed by their more incentivized peers, that itself a condition of the system at which they exist in. Not everyone is inherently evil. The crushing of the incentivization actually it comes from that bourgeois class itself inherently violent. This is the same, goes to the same thought as the critique of anarchy. The anarchist does not address the state of which violently and oppressive, of which then dismantles the anarchist movement of any to the capacities they diminish. Their inability to recognize and acknowledge the state doesn't bode well for any of their movements. Although I will say those movements are quite banger. You know, it is what you can catch a glimpse of the superstructure thereof communism as a base mode of production. All right. So I do then denote the anarchist is the superstructure of the left, necessary to the development of a base mode of production that equalizes everyone's understanding and being in society. Anarchy, structure of the left. Woo, woo, woo. Love my anarchists. Love them so much. So much free spirit and individuality. can only but love the anarchist. To hate the anarchist is quite silly, because then you don't recognize the mutual dependency that does require anti-capitalist nature. No. It does address. So the anarchist does address the state as something to dismiss. That's what I know of it to be. Yeah. That's why I call it the superstructure of the left. It must occur with an entity and the being. An anarchist must exist with the state. The abolition of the state abolishes the anarchist. Mutually. Just like how the Black Panther Party says the abolishment of capitalism will then... I probably misunderstood myself too. Don't worry. We do that all the time around here. I yap, and that's why I record this, so then I can go back and listen to the yap and make sure that I said what I said. But don't worry. We are on the same side of the struggle of which oppresses to all of us. To me, the enemy of me is someone who does not regard us together, the whole. The individual who regards me is my enemy, because then it is inherently self-individualized. Socialized production is what we aim for. I love the anarchists, though. Socialists as well, like Tane, like brothers. Please. I invite you to. We all are here to develop and growth in a dialogue. The dialogue of which appreciates the contradiction. Contradiction of which moves and spurs growth and forward. Oh, okay. You should come to the other sessions then. I have done that. So this particular time bank reading sessions were just an exposure on this. Every single other session has been from the hip, and everything is off dome. So let me pull up the YouTube channel that we do stuff. I do agree with your critiques though. This is not what I usually do. Not right on the nail with that one. Look at you. Incredible. It's what I love to see. It's what I love to hear. Incredible and critiqued, well-read individuals. That's what gives me hope. It's what gets me running. It gets me up in the day. It's a Wednesday evenings thing. So every time at 4, I hop in here. How's it going, guys? That's me. PM. 4 p.m. That's right. On the West Coast. Because the West Coast, the best coast, the East Coast, the Beast Coast. And that doesn't make any sense. Bay Area, NorCal. That's right. Yay area, NorCal. Spitting distance from Sacramento, but farther than that, I don't want to go over there. Ooh, I was just a wee little bit child. But yeah, that's right. I remember getting hyphy when I was like 10. Nowadays, though, it's a liberal hellhole. You don't have to come back. It's okay. Just remember and cherish the memories you had of it when you visited, and then keep those, because now it's a liberal hellhole. That's correct. Much worse. Now, like co-option in general. No, you have to wait on the wait for their quotas. I've been trying to analyze when do the cops have their quotas, because I saw like the other day a bunch of people. It's the end of the month. They're back on the end of the month schedule. Yes, the vanguard. Woo! The defense mechanism of the proletariat.
Hey, how you guys doing? How you
How's
guys
it going?
doing?
How's
You
it going?
know, you know what? Everyone fucking loves me and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Who?
And I think some people hate me, or some people fucking like me. It's like it's fucking yeah. I
I'm
know.
hearing it.
We
I'm
so
hearing it.
divide. We so fucking divide this fucking country. It's like, what the fuck is the point of fucking? What's the fucking point? What's the point where we fall so divided and conquered? It's like divide and fucking conquer. Divide and conquer, like Christians versus Jewish, Palestinians versus Israel. It's like, what the fuck is that?
Yes.
It's like a divide conquer plan. It's like, I think of like the fucking Freemasons and this shit. I read a bunch of books about it. I read a bunch of shit about it. It's like the 33 degree is the fucking Vatican. The fucking Jesuits. It's a
Rem-
fucking cult.
remove the divide. That's right. Unify. That's right.
Unify. Yeah, that was Trump was doing, And the fucking globalists don't want that shit. And like fucking the globalist wants to divide and conquer us and shit, and trying to fucking stop it and shit. And it's like, yeah, the fucking globalists, man. The globalists. I hate the fucking globalist. The globalist sucks.
Yes,
The
the capitalist
fucking
sucks. That's correct.
no. Yeah, the capital will suck. I don't
Capitalism
blame
does suck. That's
capitalism.
right. Globalists suck. Capitalism suck. That's right. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, a little bit. But like capitalism makes uh the two bad ideas. Like capitalism and socially good fucking ideas. Share everything.
Capitalism takes good ideas, doesn't make them, but they definitely take good ideas, right? Capitalism does take good ideas. That's right.
Yes, it takes good fucking ideas. The good fucking ideas. But communism is like it's like one religion controls a bunch of group of people. It's like one religion. It's like a new world order of fucking things. It's like one world religion under a communist revolution at the fucking Cold War ages.
Well, communism appreciates religion. It is not itself one religion. That's right. Yep.
It just one religion. This one religion is government. The government controls
That's
your
a
fucking health.
that's a
The government
theocracy. Yes, that's a
yeah,
theocracy.
that's
Communism
yeah.
is not a theocracy. Yeah, communism likes religion. Like, people can practice any religion. Actually, if there's one religion, it's all religions that communism likes. That's what occurs. That's
But
what
but
happens.
um but one but America has some communist things too. It's like the drugs they produce them by the FDA and shit.
Drugs are everywhere. That's right, and the USA appropriates the drug and criminalizes it. Communists don't. They do the opposite. So when you think capitalists, think the opposite. Communism. That's what they do.
But here's the thing. Like communism, it's like you can eliminate fucking like rights and shit. Like free expression and shit. Is a fucking is constitutional. The U.S. Constitution is the fucking the U.S. Constitution is the important document of the United States of America.
The U.S.
And
Constitution also says that slavery is legal in penitentiary. That slavery is still legal, even though they said abolished it. So I wouldn't say the document, that important document, is not that important. It says a lot of bad stuff in there.
I mean, talks about mm, your opinion. I just check. So
Capitalism bad. That's what I know. Capitalism bad. Yep.
but if you take capitalism and shit, and like capitalism can make good things or bad things, but you don't exploit workers and shit. It's that's socialism.
Oh,
You
well,
don't.
that's the opposite. Capitalism does in fact exploit workers. That's
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Like freaking capitalism exploit fucking workers and shit,
that's right.
and socialism just like create equal property. But like if you take capitalism and democracy itself, that equals a communist society. A Marxist society, like your freaking like religion would be ripped apart. Your religion, your like your rights will be restrained by the government. Like social credit scores are coming so fast, like holy fucking shit. Thank you, fucking President Trump. Fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, Trump bad. Boo. We don't like Trump. We don't like Trump.
Well, 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 well. He was creating a good economy, like 150 million jobs and shit. Okay, so that's a fact. That's a fact.
Oh,
But Joe Biden was.
the
I
jobs.
think the Joe Biden administration do really good, do really excellent on like laws
I,
and shit,
I would
like
say
the
both
Amtrak law.
administrations suck. Biden sucks. Trump sucks. Right? They both kind of suck. I think they both really suck.
If you educate was if you educate yourself, like not educate like the laws they're passing, or just read through it and shit, like what's- let me do my own research.
Boo. Capitalism bad. That's right. Boo.
Uh,
Trump bad. Don't like that guy.
uh, he was crying. He was crying like laws He signed. Yeah, I kind of like Joe Biden a little bit. I kind of like yes, the Chip Science Act. Yes, $1 trillion infrastructure act. That's very good. Reduce the Inflation
Yeah,
Act. The ship.
capitalism makes bad infrastructure. That's right. It's not good infrastructure.
No, 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 no. Yeah, focusing on climate change. I think climate change can be real or not. Okay. Um,
I think climate change
respect.
is real.
Oh yeah. Oh, respect of marriage act. Yeah, that's a big one of these religions. The respect of marriage act and the fucking explain. It's like the respect of Marriage Act, the repeal of the 1986 Marriage Act, and that's strong. Yeah, I think that's very strong. That President Joe Biden signed and shit about like he freaking. I think he's providing federal aid to our budget country to help them, and that's my opinion.
I
Not
see.
public, not. But like, I think the Joe Biden administration was a very good administration of like people's rights and shit. But like,
I think all administrations are pretty bad. I don't think any of them did
uh,
much.
yeah, it's like Jimmy Carter. Okay, it's fucking he create this department education system and creates like a bunch of fucking people in the streets and drugs and shit. Okay, I know politicians suck, but like, I think Joe Biden was a very good administration. Was
I
a
didn't think it was a great. Yeah, I don't think it was that good. I don't.
it was not that good, but like you have to educate yourself the laws and shit. But I have no religious topic say, hey, and yeah, it's like, but like they fucking own this place, but like,
Yeah, they're fucking it all up. Every single administration. That's right. They're fucking it all up. It's all
yeah,
bad.
it's all fucking bad.
It's all bad. I
I
know.
think
I know.
it's fucking all fucking bad, and
Mm-mm.
politics it's a really dirty business. It is a really fucking dirty business.
Yep, I'm hearing you. That's right.
It's a dirty business. Like Obama was fucking swimming in money and shit.
Bombing the Middle East. That's right. Spending the money is not a good administration. Nope, not at all.
No, but he signed law. He signed like freaking laws and shit to protect some group of people I fucking like. Group of people I
I
fucking
think
like.
every administration signed some laws. So the Obama administration
Yeah,
wasn't that
yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
kind of like it. I kind of progress on politics. Well, but I don't. I kind of vote to
can't be that
to have
progressive.
a
People
voicemail.
die in every administration.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
know
that's
that.
horrible. I know it's bad.
Yeah, I think I'm like I think Catholicism is the most toxic religion ever. No. All religions, all fucking religions, like Islam is toxic. Um, yeah, all of them are like has a good messages in it. Like
Yeah, I think all
the
religions pretty cool.
Islam,
All religions. Yeah,
it's pretty cool,
yeah, that's
but
pretty
like
cool. Yeah,
yeah. That there's certain traditions and
yeah.
shit. It's like certain traditions, like Islam, the black box and shit. You go, people run around in circles and shit. Hash blah. Yeah, what the fuck is it called? I don't forgot. Let me
And
research
then
that.
people just hang out, talk. Just share stories, and religion's pretty cool. It's really, yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
like, it's pretty neat too. I got some freaking Muslim friends as well, but they're really nice people. I'm not making fun of them and shit. I met Muslims in my fucking school, in middle school. I'm not making fun of them, but like I did some. mm, No, I was pretty good in freaking middle school, but like I did some really stupid shit, like fucking. I'm not gonna say it, but like, but like, but like, I know Islam is like the threat to women's rights and shit. I know that shit. I studied that shit, but like, Islam, communism is it's like mixed thing, Yeah, that's like the new
Yeah,
order
communism
shit.
is the next big thing. So yeah, it's gonna be the next big thing. That's right.
It's giving the next big fucking thing,
I think it's gonna be a big
fucking.
thing for a while too.
It's giving a big thing for a while and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
communism.
giving a big thing. It's like China 2050 is the main goal. I think it's the main goal of this shit. That's why. That's right. That's why we need critical fucking thinking people to have a fucking brain in the
Yeah,
government.
it's good to have people who can critically think. That's right. People need to have critical thinking. Yep.
People need to have critical thinking and
Yes.
stop this religious textbook shit and just
Plastics. Yep.
be progressive and shit. Yeah, I'm freaking. Yeah, I'm not that fucking okay right now. I'm just not okay right now because like my fucking this situation is like killing me and shit, you know,
Oh yeah, it's
in
bad.
real life.
Yep. No one likes it. No one likes the current situation. Nope. That's right.
I don't like it. I don't
Nope.
like it. Just
I don't
like
like it either.
I don't like
I,
it.
What are you
I
talking
think
Oh
to?
my god,
that
shut the fuck.
that's kind of how they want us to feel is what we have to look out for. Sorry, I popped in at the end here, but
Oh, you're good.
yeah, I don't know. I think they want us to feel desperate and disorganized and chaotic, and so I think that we're all feeling that way, buddy. So we just have to try to stay focused and organized, and yeah, just agree on what we can agree upon. It's gone. Oh.
That's right. Yep.
Sorry, man. I'm sorry, fucking that. Fucking goddamn. Ugh. Yeah, I just like I'm kind of like the LGBTQ community a lot. That's my passion about. But like I'm passionate about each religion at all. So, but like you gotta realize. I'm not making fun of people. Our people hate me and just like I just getting fucking like what? Shut the fuck up, you freaking idiot.
Boo. We like using nice language around here, but we get it. It is almost an hour and a half. We have been at this for a while, venting, feeling, talking. Boo bad capitalism. Oh, boo bad Trump. I don't like that guy. Boo bad the government. Ha ha ha. We do leave off here. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being here. You are what makes this happen. Thank you for being here. Trust. Next week, we'll go back to our regular scheduled program of off the dome yap and analysis of the material condition. I don't know. Let's see what we talk about next week. Striking. We'll go back to striking. It is the General Strike US. We will talk about the strike. So, this has been this week. Striking for the win. That's correct. Strike, strike, strike. Kiss, kiss, kiss. We will be back here next week. Reclaim your labor desk, right? Appreciate you all. Have a lovely day. Have a wonderful time. We'll see you around. We'll announce some stuff, but other than that, see you next week. Thank you. Appreciate you. Fuck fascists. That's right. I'll say it right here live. Fuck fascists. Don't like them. Don't want to associate with them.
Fuck fascists, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, fuck fascists. That's correct. So thank you so much. See you next week. Have a good time.